So now we turn to the brain stem, and we'll look at the external organization of the brain stem first. So this is looking at the outside, and the anterior, which is the front section of the brain stem. And you can see here a number of different areas of the brain stem that are familiar in terms of the cranial nerves. Now, if you remember, the cranial nerves, of which there are 12, are used to coordinate various parts of the head and neck, also parts of the trunk and the limbs. The ones that are most interesting in terms of the speech therapist are those that are in the head and neck. And we should distinguish those here. So let's quickly review some of these. The brain stem, which is the combination of the midbrain, which is located here, the pons, which is located here, and the medulla, which is located here, differ in terms of the orientation of the nerve cells. So you can see that in the pons we have much more horizontal arrangement. In the midbrain we have more vertical arrangement. The same is true in the medulla. But each of these different parts of the brain stem are essentially relaying information from the cortex to the spinal cord. So the spinal cord is here, the cortex is up here, and the relaying of sensory and motor signals, efferent and afferent signals, is taking place through the brain stem. So all of the optic nerves, all the cranial nerves that are necessary for the function of the human communication system will pass through and around these different sections of the brain stem. Now, there's a couple of points here that are new, and let's take a look at those first before we deal with the cranial nerves in more detail. The first one is the infundibular stalk, which is located here. This is just inferior to the optic chiasm. This is a relay from the thalamus to the cortex. We've got the mammillary bodies here, which are important for memory. We've got the cerebral peduncle, which is this bundle of fibers here that are projecting directly to either the left or the right hemisphere. So the pons is not distinguishing between left and right cerebral projections, but the cerebral peduncle is sending nerve cells either to the right or the left hand side of the cortex. Then we have the pons, which is essentially made up of grey matter and has a number of different nuclei located in it, which are the cell bodies. And then we've got the pyramidal structure here, the olive, which is located just to the side, and these are both on the left and the right hand side. So these structures of the brainstem are sort of distinct in terms of their arrangement of nerve cells, but also in terms of the function that they have for projections to one or the other side of the cortex. So just to summarize, we've got the brain stem, which is located underneath the cortex, on top of the spinal cord, and connects the cerebral cortex and the spinal cord together. There are three different sections: the midbrain, the pons, and the medulla, and these are each associated with distinct nerve cell structure. And when we talk about these different shapes and structures, we're not invoking any particular function here. We're simply describing what is structurally different in the system, and the function of these different structures is something we'll come back to later.